All right, a few of you have been kind of like asking about how to do the special interception, and honestly, I actually created like my script a while back, and I was like saying how, oh, you gotta prepare ahead of time, but I guess as it turns out, it's a lot easier now for a lot of you to reach it, because now at level 160 it is kind of doable to get to that point in the game where you're clearing chapter 16. So here's what we're gonna be talking about. So I think first thing is, let's talk about the rewards, and what I would say there's gonna be like different milestones that we should have in mind. There's 3 different milestones that we should like look for when we're trying to do this, and one of them is to reach to stage 5. So stage 5 is first milestone in Interception special, because that's when you start getting tier 9 gears on the extra reward. Stage 4 doesn't have it. Stage 4 you only get like tier 8 manufacturer, but stage 5, that's when you start getting tier 9, right? Although you don't get it in the normal drop rates as well here. The second is stage 7. Stage 7 milestone is when you can start getting tier 9 on the regular drop, not the bonus drop, but on the regular drop. See, the stage 6 you don't get that at all. And stage 7 is also when you start getting these manufacturer tier 9s. If anything, I would definitely be happy at getting a stage 7, right? If you think you can push it to stage 7, that's probably the biggest thing. Stage 5 is kind of like the pity. Like, I think that's probably what you should at the minimum aim for when you get to this point, but I think a lot of the bosses are gonna be easy that way. But stage 7, that's probably where you're starting to farm your endgame gears, because those tier 9 gears are gonna help you getting clears on these bosses. And then these manufacturer gears are endgame gears. You need a lot of them, because these are what you will need in addition to a stage 9 reward, which is this is the 3rd milestone. I would say this is the 3rd milestone. Stage 9 doesn't give you on the basic reward the manufacturer. So the manufacturer and the custom module, these are used in order to get your overloaded gears. Rolling, getting your tier 10 gears overload, and then your line, your equipment. See, I have level 4 right now, which is 8,400. At level 5 it has 9,000, and then now it starts having these effects, additional effects when you get these. And there's different lines here: additional elemental damage, hit rate, ammunition, attack, and everything like that. So, and if you want to reroll them, you need these custom modules. Those custom modules are basically your rerollers, you know. So if you need to start grabbing all of them as much as you can, and I would definitely save them, because you need to level up level 5 all of these manufacturer gears in order to be able to just upgrade them. So now that we basically got all of that out of the way, like, okay, what are the rewards, what milestones we should be going for? Let's talk about just the special interception mechanics. So the special interception mechanics is that, one, you are fixed at level 100, level 200. So even if you are level 160, because that's around the level that you're gonna be reaching this content now, level 160, you're gonna be level sync, push up to level 200. So now what are gonna be necessary then to upgrade, right? There's gonna be a few things, right? Obviously the most obvious thing is equipment. This is where you're gonna be farming your equipment, so this is also, equipments are also gonna be a huge part of what you're gonna be using to allow you to achieve higher levels. So initially when you unlock it, there is a chance that you're probably not going to get like stage 9 immediately, and that's fine. You just work your way, try to aim for stage 7 at minimum, and if you don't have like those OP units for specific bosses. The bosses rotate on a daily basis. There's gonna be different bosses. We have Blacksmith, Chatterbox, and then Modernia, and then Alteisen, and then Gravedigger. So you have to set up a different team for different bosses. The second thing is advice. Advice, or their affection, attraction, however you call it. That's probably the second biggest thing in this, because you get a bunch of attack here. Third is the skills, because now your level doesn't really matter as much as your skills, right? So just getting your skills up high level is gonna be really important. And then obviously the last one is cores, duplicates, you know, the stars. Getting more stars and getting cores, those are pretty huge stat boost gains, and they're actually going to be super helpful. So here are the teams that I have written down, and some of the teams that I've been looking into that have successfully cleared the bosses in Interception. Let's talk about first, I guess, the tier list that we have here. I did put the link here, and I'll link this document also. But in this tier list here, they did some, you know, testing, and they do update it from what I noticed, but basically they have been listing like some of the top units for different bosses here. So you can click on the Interception tier list here, and then you'll see some of the top units for each of the bosses. Obviously for me, like, you know, if you had to ask me, like, I would put Drake as 10 for each, but you know, yeah, different people have different suggestions. So that's gonna be Litter. Obvious, she's the only one that's really like 10 out of 10 on everything. That's kind of how I see it. If I had to choose who are the units that have been useful on pretty much every boss and you can kind of work around on using them, Litter, laplace, Santi, I would say Drake also for me. I've used her on all of them. Sugar should be good as well. Maybe not. Yeah, sugar. Dolla is also really useful. I would say those are the main ones that I would say I've seen use, other than Scarlet. Also Scarlet, pretty much a lot of teams have used Scarlet as well. So those are, I would say, the very top tier units that are good investing on, just because they can be used on almost all of those content. Now let's talk about the different bosses here, because this is kind of like what I want to show you, like what are the mechanics, how's the idea behind it. So I guess first things first is for Blacksmith, we do have different teams here, but the general idea between team building is just, one is having a healer really helps on Blacksmith, and then two, have some sort of way to deal with the bombs quickly, and then having a CD reduction burst, at least one of them, so either dolla or litter or volume, is really useful on this boss, because it usually allows you to time your burst alongside with the boss's mechanics. So this one was the team that I used, and the way it's basically it is, what you have to do is try to focus on the core. Whenever you're shooting, focus on the core, because that will deal the most damage there. And then you're just gonna try to time your burst. Usually your first burst will kind of dictate when your burst timing is going to be. So for here at the let me scroll back a little bit here. The early parts here, I'm not bursting immediately. I'm waiting until the first burst comes up, and then now basically, because I have dolla, I just leave the auto on the skill, and then for the most part it just is consistent that it times it every time he does it. I usually will have these burst available. If you don't have a CD reduction unit, it would be very difficult, and you might have to kind of work around it and use a different team that doesn't rely on bursting. This team relies on bursts, where it uses Harran, Scarlet. I've seen other use where they've used like privity as well as another option here as to destroy those bombs, so that also works. And then another team that you could use is the shotgun or rocket launchers, where they try to just will shoot these things together, because they have used this person is Violet, and just to kind of explain what his team is, he used Litter, Rupee, Laplace, Drake, and Noise here. What he's trying to do is he's using Drake's burst to, you can destroy those at the same time as well, but at the same time also you can also just use Laplace to just destroy it. There's many ways with this team. He has multiple ways of handling it, and one good thing about this also is he's using Noise, which is taunting. And probably the most important thing here to also understand is every time the boss throws these bombs, he will also do lasers. So he will try to shoot lasers, and you see his Noise gets damaged right there, and after he does those bombs. So one of the things like is, for example, if you don't have like a Noise, I've been using Pepper here, so she's my healer here, and I tried to take damage, and since I don't have Litter, I don't have like cover recovery using this, and what I'm doing here instead is I try to tank some damage from these. So as I bursted, I got hit twice, and then my cover guarded Drake and Scarlet, and now they got reduced cover. So that's one of like a way, if you have like a healer, you can like take damage, but then you don't need to take the full damage. You can have them get some damage using their cover as well. And that's kind of one of the better ways to kind of just spread the damage, but also making your healer do some work. So that's one way I have been doing it, especially when I'm not using Litter and Senti, for example. That kind of mitigates a lot of the damage with the cover. If you're using Litter a lot, then that's one of the better ways to kind of utilize her as well. Switching back and forth with the cover. And then around phase 7, he does jump back. So once you reach phase 7, he does jump back, and he does this mechanic. And that's one thing you just need to make sure you need to have some bullets ready for you. So I would say that's the blacksmith fight. Pretty easy, very easy fight in my opinion. So let's go with the next one, Chatterbox. Why did I write Gravedigger in the title here? Well, anyways, here's the fight with Chatterbox, and I'll be honest, like if you have Laplace here, this is like an easy fight for you. You should have like almost a guaranteed phase 7 here with Laplace, but you should try to aim for phase 9. This fight is just super easy with Laplace. It's ridiculous how easy this fight becomes with Laplace because of how much parts that are just right next to each other, and then you're just hitting them. Any DPS really works here. A later CD reduction burst is actually super helpful because it kind of makes your burst time properly with his mechanics. So having later dolla or volume would be useful here. Senti also helps reduce the RNG of the fight because of his punches. You can pretty much negate a lot of his punches with Senti's shield as well. But if you don't have all of those, right, like if you don't have Litter or Senti or Laplace, shotgun also works. We have the shotgun team also works here, and a bunch of these other units that you can kind of use. Really, any team kind of works here on Chatterbox. There's just top tier units that are like that makes the fight super easy here. But other than that, you just pretty much deal damage with the boss, and then when he jumps in, try to do a cover. And when you time your burst, he's super easy. All right, let's move on to Modernia. Because Modernia is basically, there's two things that you have to keep in mind Modernia's phase is basically the first phase. You have to deal with the first phase, and that is killing the core as soon as you can, because this core is very important, because if you don't kill it within 28 seconds, so when the timer hits like 2:32, Modernia will do a secondary burst that will just make she'll do the mechanic, and it'll basically almost like wipe your whole team. So this is on like a race to DPS as hard as you can on the enemy, and there are definitely different ways to go about it. Maxwell, Snow White, units that have like really strong single target burst. Alice is also good. Laplace is really good as well. These units are really good against Modernia. And one thing that you could do is, for example, let's say you don't really have any, just try your best, maybe put in like whatever team you can put in to do like a full single target burst. And yeah, one of these ways, like just have I even had like a Maxwell plus Brevity here, and what happened here is I almost just pretty much like at this point, yeah, the HP was almost down here with a combination of litter, dolla. So if you cannot handle the boss, you know, just go full DPS when in doubt. However, having a shielder or a healer definitely really helps, because you throughout the fight you're gonna have to deal with the bombs that she throws into you, and typically the ideal here is whenever she backs off, you try to shoot the bombs at least to make sure that, you know, you take the least amount of damage as you can. So as you're shooting here and fighting her, try to deal with the bombs that she summons so that you can survive. Like for this run that I am doing here, I don't even have a healer. I have a Senti, but I don't have a healer. So dealing with them is very important. But if you don't have much way to deal with them, just make sure you have like a healer then. As you're fighting her, try to not destroy her wings. So the non-glitch way essentially is you try to not destroy her wings, or maybe you could try to destroy one of the wings, and then to make sure it's easy on your side. However, one of the downsides by destroying one of her wings immediately, you will have to making sure that your AI doesn't target those other wings, because sometimes the AI tries to target those wings, and you know, they might accidentally destroy it. And one of the downsides on this one is because when she does have both her wings destroyed, what's gonna happen is she's gonna do this mechanic where she's gonna teleport around. So it's either the fight is almost done for you, or you know, when you destroy her wings, or you just don't destroy her wings at all. That's the non-glitch way. Now there is a glitch way though, where if you time your destruction of the wings as she's backing out, she will not do that mechanic. So in this part here, let me see if I can show it. Okay, so in this situation here, what this person has been doing is they're kind of holding their damage here, making sure that the last wing, see, he put in cover here because he's really trying to be careful to not destroy that last wing. And now their goal is to destroy this wing as she's backing off. Wait for it there, and if she does that, she will respawn back both of her wings, but she won't do that mechanic where she's teleporting around like this one, where she's teleporting around. And it gets really crazy once you get to this part where you're teleporting around. It's very hectic, and you're almost certain that you're gonna get wiped if you get to this part. So what you really want to do is either don't destroy her wings, or you can destroy one wing but don't destroy the other wing, or do this glitch where it will kind of glitch her mechanics up, where she will respawn her wings, but make sure from this point on you're not destroying any other wing, because if you destroy any of the wings, she will do that mechanic. So just try to not destroy the wing. I would say that's probably the basic things about Modernia. Burst down the core within 28 seconds, don't destroy the wing, and have some sort of way to deal with the bombs. Those are the main things for Modernia. I would say definitely Laplace is like a really good unit as well there. Now let's move on. Okay, Alteisen, I'm gonna talk about that afterwards. Let me talk about Gravedigger real quick. You guys know already Gravedigger. Let's be real here. You guys already know Gravedigger. You guys have been dealing with Gravedigger for the longest time. It's basically just like special interception S. Use shotgun. Laplace is good. You know, you can replace litter with volume. Dolla is really good. There are some strategies that actually use Poly and Noah, where you're bursting with Poly, and then you're trying to tank the boss with Noah. So you can do that as well. You can flip-flop that. And then the important thing is if you get to phase 7, I would say that's a really good job already. And I think if you have like Poly Noah, you're gonna do that, but then you're gonna struggle on the last part if you don't have like cooldown reduction. In particular, really the biggest things from phase 7 to phase 9, probably the biggest thing is having litter and Dolla. I would say that's probably the biggest things there. Rupee also works, you know, whichever one really works for you. Litter and Dolla are really good together because they just reduce your cooldown on your bursts, and you can burst faster. Everyone got it, right? Now, here's the thing. Let's talk about Alteisen, because this boss is probably the most difficult boss here. Main thing is really a lot of things happening at the very beginning. The boss, as usual, you guys have done Alteisen too, but he will spawn these missiles, right? Make sure you kill those missiles, or make sure you have a way to deal with those missiles, because if you don't deal with those missiles, they hurt. Another thing is that turret that I just destroyed. That turret will just destroy you if you do not pay attention, or you do not like clear it ahead of time. In this situation, I'm using Snow White to kind of deal with it, and with combination of Poly and Snow White, Litter is actually not helping my team in particular, because Litter has only a 5-second buff, Poly has a 10-second buff, Snow White's charging takes like 5 seconds minimum, so I'm not getting like the efficiency of Litter from this. So purely right now I'm using Poly and Snow White. The way we deal with these boss, there's definitely many different ways to deal with it. I'm gonna show you the different ways that other people have been dealing with it. Probably the first thing that almost everyone has been doing is making their resolution into 4000 by 1000. They're trying to shoot, so you can see how much visibility you have with the 4000, and they're just shooting at that thing as the mechanics are going. So they're using Scarlet to deal with those mobs as they're using the 4000 by 1000 to their advantage, the resolution to their advantage, and they just keep shooting at it using Scarlet, and they're whittling down the HP as they get there, and then once they get there, you know, they continuously attacking. Now see, this missile is gonna hurt if you don't pay attention. Sometimes you can sometimes it does glitch out, or you get lucky. Really, it's RNG that not everything will hit, so you get lucky on that one. And yeah, so what I'm showing to you, this one on this screen right now, is an interception stage 7 clear, phase 7 clear, where this phase 7 clear, they're using a revive strat. You can use Rapunzel or Christmas Ann on this situation, but basically, you know, they rely on just kind of bursting it down. They rely on this one of the units to die from the boss, or from the turrets, because these turrets are also gonna really hurt. You saw how fast Scarlet just died there. And oh, he got lucky there because the turret was shooting, it didn't hit laplace. The strat for this one, for the revive strat, is to deal as much damage as you can while you're still alive. That's basically the strat behind it, and you try to hope that you're just gonna survive. That's basically it. And he got to this point, which is really good. That's super awesome. Getting to this point is a good phase already, and ideally you get to phase 7 around this time. Try to get to phase 7 around this time. And for the most part, a lot of the people have been just happy getting to phase 7 on Alteisen. But up until probably recently, there were some clears already before, a few weeks back. So this is the first phase 9 clear. But as we have looked into it, so this one is using Diesel, Scarlet, Drake, Rapunzel, and Litter. And this team was the first, well, it says world first clear phase 9 on Alteisen, so maybe it is. But the way this boss, or the way they did it for this one, is like they got lucky. They have a really strong, well, one, they have a really strong Scarlet, and then two, they got really lucky because look how those turrets are basically not damaging him at all. So those turrets have been, they're just not hitting him. And one, he just have enough DPS. That's basically it. Just DPS hard enough. He didn't even get to use like his Rapunzel here, so I'm pretty sure he's resetted multiple times to get this RNG luck on that. In any case, that's also why I guess this tier list rated Diesel like number 10 on Alteisen, maybe because, oh, this is the only team that got that clear. I don't think so. I personally don't think that like Diesel is, but I don't know, maybe I'm missing something here. Maybe people can kind of explain to it. But this is the first consistent one that we had that did the phase 9 clear. It's Litter, Polly, Scarlet, Noah, and Drake. For this one, they basically, it's the same strat. You know, you have the 4000 by 1000 resolution. Try to deal as much damage as you can on this. Seems like they tried to give up some of the thing. Try to get a charge up really fast with Noah. If you don't know, if you wanna race full bursting, go switch to a rocket launcher and then try to shoot as fast as you can, and that's how you get a lot of burst regeneration. So it seems like they did that so that they get the Noah's shield vulnerability, and then while they're doing that, basically they're just trying to burst through this boss. And so that's basically, you know, they did this and then they had another, and then you just try to defeat all these things. I put the link on the runs themselves in the doc so you guys can see that. So this is probably the consistent runs here, and once you get to phase 7, the idea behind it is try to deal with those missiles while trying to make sure that you deal with those things, the weak point. That's the general idea behind it, basically. Scarlet does help on this part because he can just use Scarlet to just destroy those missiles and then save some of his bullet into those weak point. So those things really help. But you know, that's also with a very invested team. My personal team, like I said, I was using kind of similar thing, but I'm not using the 4000 by 100. The way I was doing it is like I was using Snow White to just destroy the first team immediately, and the first turret here, and then I kind of deal with it here, and then I kind of just rely with RNG. Hopefully the turrets don't like kill me immediately, and also I dodge some of the things. There's this a lot more struggle because also I'm not fully geared as much as that other guy as well. But you know, this is for me. I was just trying to get phase 7, and if I do phase 7, that's enough. And here I get to the point where I got to the third burst here, and instead of using my third burst in here, I use my burst on the left side. So this didn't use the 4000 by 1000, but it does use the landscape resolution advantage, because the landscape resolution advantage is you can kind of target the ones in the left side. And I managed to shoot these. Yeah, it does help me kind of destroy it. Ideally, you can actually hit both all 3 parts there, but at the very least, my main important thing was I killed the turret or the missile launcher. But you can actually hit all 3 of them there, and if you actually do it, I somehow my Noah survived also. That's another thing. And then they died. Actually, never mind. What the heck happened? Anyways, but that's the idea behind my team. It should be at least able to guarantee me a phase 7 clear, which is probably, again, happy already. Now here is a meme build that I would say, if you guys are just like, okay, let's just get to phase 7 and don't even try to complete, this is the meme build, and I'm about to show you to you guys. The 15-second phase 7 clear. You have Miranda, Christmas Ann, Privity, and Maxwell all to buff Snow White, and with one Snow White burst, you just go from phase 0 to phase 7 immediately. There, 32 mil damage immediately. That is the meme Snow White build. So, and if you actually see it here, he hit 4 parts there. He hit the 3 boss parts and the train, and he did 9.9 mil times 2, and then like I don't know how much crit the other ones are, probably like 7 mil or something, or 6 mil, but that is basically the Snow White build, where you meme it and you're just saying, all you're just saying is, let me get to phase 7 and don't do anything else. The set that he used is, he has a level, although again, this is a whale Snow White build too. This is a Snow White with the level 10 skill and level 40 affection. So that is definitely an absurd investment. Now, I tried doing this with my own Snow White. I think I deemed it to be possible if I can do 7 mil critical. And in order for me to do 7 mil critical, I need to have like a full upgraded tier 9 gears, just tier 9 gears. I was testing it out. Right now my current crit is dealing 6.5 mil, and what I needed to do, at least by my experience testing and like just hypotheses, I needed like roughly level 7 burst skill on Snow White, and right now my attraction is rank 12, so it's still basically roughly, although mine has core 2, so that's another factor to keep in mind. So if I have to think, if we have to factor in the core 2 versus like a core 0 Snow White, then I could see it being maybe burst 8, level 8 Snow White. But yeah, that's basically the run through on each of these bosses. Hope that's pretty helpful. You guys have any questions, just let me know. You can always just ask me. I'm always pretty much available, and I've been discussing this. Pretty much a huge credit to Violet, someone who I have been talking a lot with on doing these sets, and he has uploaded a bunch of special interception here. So a bunch of the experiences that I had, and I've discussed it with him as well, and the different teams that has worked out and whatnot. And then also another special shout out to the Chinese Bilibili videos that I have been looking at, and they have been pretty helpful on giving me some insight on the different other team builds. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me today. GG's. Thank you all for being here, and I'll see you guys next time.